Okay, you guys. I know that the last thing you heard me say in the last 15 no limit video was that there'd be another 15 no limit video before I moved up to 100. That's because I am a gigantic liar, apparently. Yeah. Basically, Zoom poker happened, and so then I stopped playing 15 no limit. I was planning to do like 15,000 hands of it. Yeah, no way. Once there's 15 no limit Zoom poker, I might, but, well, there isn't yet. And I have the bankroll to take a shot at 100, so we're gonna do it. This hand is interesting immediately, so the introduction gets interrupted. I 3-bet quite small against this, I don't really know if you can call a 40 big blind stack a short stacker, but I guess he's operating on short stack principles. And I just think a small 3-bet is plenty against him. And I got cold called in the big blind. And I know nothing about this big blind player. I've seen a few hands of his and he's now 38-13, so it's a little more likely that he's a poor player than a regular, perhaps. Especially since I don't recognize his name, but I don't know. Maybe he's both. Maybe he's a poor player and a regular. He does have a $272 stack, which implies that, you know, quite often when someone has a large stack like that, it implies that they're better at poker. Although, interestingly, it can go the other way. Sometimes you might instead argue that most people who have big stacks because they get involved in lots of pots and get lucky and win sometimes. So big stack may actually be more indicative of a loose player, poor player. On that board, I obviously have top pair, top kicker. His range, we can't say that much about it. I made a small 3-bet, so you may have thought that calling in position with ace-king or ace-queen or tens or something was profitable. I think I'm ahead of enough of it to make a c-bet. It's mostly for value, but it's a very gross spot if I get called on the flop and have to play a turn and river out of position here. I don't think I can play for stacks just with top pair, top kicker against this player. We have no history at all together, so he probably doesn't view me as a terribly aggressive sort of guy. Yeah. The 3-bet preflop is mostly a bluff. I mean, 3-bets out of position are never just a bluff. You're basically taking a hand which you don't think would be as profitable to call with, but which you think is more profitable because when you're 3-betting, you get to add a whole lot of fold equity to your play. So this guy just sat at the table, so these HUD stats are not him. We have basically 2 overs and a gut shot. It's a very standard c-bet with 9 high against anybody, so I guess you could somehow imagine someone against whom that isn't a c-bet, but I think it's pretty difficult to do. And yeah, he just folded. On turns and rivers is where knowing more information about him would really help in working out if we're going to double or triple barrel. On this board, we have a lot of hands that are sort of 2 overs and are better than 9-8, so, I mean, better showdown value than 9 high. So I think if we're going to be bluffing on the turn and river, which certainly we are some amount of the time, it certainly makes sense to do it with 9 high with a gut shot. And you're also, of course, going to be bluffing flush draws, pair plus gutters. You may turn into bluffs, but those aren't hands that you're bluffing because, you know, you have tons of better hands that he'll fold. Like here, if I get him to fold 10 high, it's already a win for me. Those are hands that you're bluffing more with the intention of making him fold a much stronger range, with the knowledge that even if he doesn't fold, you have a decent shot and improving to the best hand. I guess I'll just remove myself from waiting lists. Hopefully none of these tables will break, but it seems better to risk the tables breaking and only having 3 tables than have to deal with those pop-ups all the time. So, I guess I didn't introduce the video yet, really. I wanted to say that I've started doing more videos. As of now, I have a Zoom poker series that I'm working on, and I'll be doing other stuff as well. I have lots of good ideas. Just have to actually, record them. I can't really justify making 1 billion free videos. It costs me bandwidth, and it costs me a lot of time, and I mean, it is just giving away information for free. So I'm just charging 99 cents per video right now, and it's super easy to do through PayPal. And yeah, I would encourage you to check them out. If you enjoy these videos, then I can pretty confidently tell you that a half-hour video in which I'm trying a lot harder to actually make it worth your time and stuff is going to be worth 99 cents to you. Yeah. I'm pausing the video, doing math, bringing the math up, talking about concepts in depth, which I've actually thought about talking about before I start the video. Whereas these free ones are more like, oh hey guys, let's click buttons. This is why I click that button. Just invented a new word. I don't think cluck is actually the past tense of click. But yeah, that's more what you pay for in the free videos. You pay $0 for me to invent the word cluck. Whereas in the pay-per-view videos, you're paying 99 cents for me to do all sorts of math on how you should play pre-flop with ace-king. And talk about your brain, how it is not very good at playing poker. In some ways it's not very good, in some ways it's very good. Back to the action at the tables. So, I was not a 100 no limit regular when I quit poker. When I quit poker. I like the way I took agency of that. When I woke up one morning and discovered I could no longer play poker because of the US government. I was not a 100 no limit regular. I was playing 400 no limit plus, and so I don't know many of these guys at all. Some of them I recognize from forums. I recognize Eagles Fan because I think he was actually playing up in the games that I was playing in. I think I recognize Dryath. I think I recognize Alex72's son. That may be it on these tables. I think I recognize Thanks for Your Money. I don't know, it's been a long time, and I've never been someone who focuses that much on what somebody's name is. I associate them more with what their stats are at the table. So, this is a weird spot. I think 9s are good enough to raise against that limp. It's weird that this guy insta calls. And I guess the first thing I think of is pocket 8s. So I think I'm value betting here. I expect the bet to do a lot of good things. I think it will win me the pot a large amount of the time, just straight up, which is great when I'm making people fold overs. This is weird. I just don't know what this guy's doing. Jack 10 suited, something like that. I mean, it doesn't make much sense to me that he would bluff like this. He's almost gonna have it work half the time, and he is. Yeah, I don't think he can think that it will, and there's nothing he can represent. Like, sorry. He can represent trip 10s. That's all he's representing. But there's no hand that he can bluff raise with there that like has good equity when called. If you know what I'm saying. It's not like he has a combo draw on 10-10 deuce rainbow. So it's probably a slightly profitable bluff raise against me. Mostly though, I think he has a 10, like all the time. And yeah, but that still confuses me, because I don't understand why you raise a 10 on that board. What are you... Okay. Oh. Sound sort of makes my head hurt. And this is a pretty standard 3-bet spot. And we have a set on a board where sets aren't that great. So let's play these hands and then sort of come back to this. I want a few seconds to think about exactly how I'm going to phrase my thoughts. This guy looks sort of fishy. Just his stats so far, and the fact that he called the big blind and then check called that flop, which is not bad really. Oh, I was expecting lots more calls than that. That's disappointing. And here we get called out of position. I have to decide whether I'm turning my hand into a bluff or trying to play for showdown value here. I think I'll turn into a bluff. I hope you're looking forward to me barreling off $100 against aces right now. Oh, that's disappointing. Okay, well, I suppose winning the pot is a better option, but maybe not for viewing. Yeah. So, I'm just gonna autopilot. It's a really weird spot, because it's good to be able to raise, right? Like, puts me in a tough spot, gets some more money when he has a 10, and he can bluff with hands like if he has queen jack of spades. It's really nice to be able to raise as a bluff and balance that up. Certainly, I think that this just looks like a profitable turn barreling spot, and barreling with ace-8 offsuit is too wide theoretically, but it looks really profitable. So game theoretically you do want to be able to raise there. I'm gonna give out the river. Please don't check behind and show 8s, dude. Please don't do that to me. I might win against king jack. I don't know how bad he is. I don't care anymore. You took too long. I've lost interest. Three-ways, though, I think that maybe the game theoretical benefits of being able to raise sort of go away. Calling has big benefits when you have a 10 here, because you keep this guy in the pot with a wider range and make more money off him. So whereas raising usually allows you to make more money with better hands, in this spot raising actually makes it harder to make more money with your good hands. There's just not much that calls you if you have trip 10s and you raise. So I'm not sure that game theoretically raising is actually good for value here, and the fact that there are two people in the pot who potentially can't have 10s means that I'm not sure that you really want to be doing it as a bluff too much either. I'm not sure how profitable it is. So yeah, I'm really not sure about his play, if like you ever want to raise there, which is bizarre to me. I haven't solved poker or anything, guys, and the more I get into higher stakes and I have less time to talk about, like, oh, that guy just called me with 7 high and then went all in on the river, the more time I'm going to spend talking about, like, this hand looks sort of completely unremarkable, but it actually completely explodes my brain to think about the implications of what just happened. So, it may be less useful for you, especially if you're playing 25 no limit and need to know how to beat people who call you with 7 high and then go all in, which hopefully we covered enough in the earlier videos. But it's certainly more fun for me to think about it, and it may be more real and sort of it's a more basic way to talk about poker. At this point, I don't have, like, I invented this rule and idea that I can tell you, and that's what I am pretty confident is right. At this point, you just get unfiltered verbal diarrhea of me trying to come to terms with what the 2 cards and the chips mean. Anyway, I think he probably just did have a 10 and wanted a call when I had aces. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not the right line to take with the 10 against aces. And if it's not the right line to take with the 10 against aces, the reason being that you immediately move the other guy out of the pot, and I don't actually think that you make more money against aces. Because I think aces can fold sometimes there. If it's not the right line to take with the 10 against aces, then you guys, why do you do this to me? Then what do you want to take that line with the 10 against? Fortunately, there are some half-full tables. You can sit with the best guy at 100 no limit, except me, maybe. Modesty. And 4 mediocre regulars. I wonder where Vincent went. I saw Winnie Weekey playing earlier. I wonder how many people pronounce his name as Winnie Weekey. He was a reg playing similar stakes to me. Stopped and started in like the exact same way. I guess I can just call with King 8 offsuit actually here. I guess I've never seen this guy steal from any position over 178 hands, but well, now I have. And when he checks here, oh god, guys. It doesn't help that I keep on getting the hand that's like exactly in the middle of everything. Like 9s in that last hand against potentially trip 10s is like probably the exact middle ground in hands I can have, and here I have second pair top kicker. I don't think it's a value bet yet. I'm gonna bet the turn though. I think it might be a fold. Nah, I'm not folding. When he opens, I expect, if I check back, he has like 10s a lot of the time here. So I could bluff. Do I represent anything? Am I at the bottom? I think I'm at the bottom of my range. Just about. We're bluffing. So every stream that hand was weird. I don't know how this is happening. I guess at lower stakes I would just like glaze over all this stuff because it doesn't matter that much, but when he opens the small blind he should have a fairly tight range. I haven't seen him stealing prolifically or anything. And when he opens and then checks the flop to me, the hands that it makes most sense for him to have are hands like 10s through queens. Well, I guess kings too, but there is a difference between kings and 10s here, definitely, because I can have pocket pairs and I can have overs which have more equity against 10s than kings. Maybe an 8, something like 9-8, 10-8, 8-7. It doesn't make much sense for him to check here with his air because he just can bet and like create a good balanced betting range over 3 streets with his strong ace X's and his bluffs. So I expect him to bet a ton with his air. And he's not winning the pot with air if he checks very much at all. So when he does check, I think he has a showdownable hand, which is probably a little bit better than mine. So I have the option to turn my hand into a bluff just immediately. I don't think that I can value bet the hand on the flop. And maybe I should have just immediately started bluffing. But I think it looks credible for me to check back here with a weak ace. And I don't think many people would believe that I'm checking air back here. Like, we can think about it. This guy's being extremely tight over our sample. It's a board that hits him quite well, and it easily can hit our hands way better than it does in this case. God, we have the same hand here. So I'm just going to let that one go. And here I am going to bet, expect to get called by ace high. Yeah, on this board, like, I could consider using my hand as a bluff or a float or something, but I just have much, much better hands to do that with. And I don't have to worry about, you know, bluffing with 6 high when I can just fold it instead. Okay. We got our flop value, potentially. And we check back the turn. So when he bets here, he has probably a decent amount of missed flush draws. He should be betting here with king-queen, definitely. This is an interesting spot, because if the flush came in, it may not even be a value bet with king-queen anymore for him, because his range when he floats out of position there is like lots of ace highs, which probably just check the river. And I'm going to raise, I guess, before I time out. Lots of ace highs, which probably just check the river. Flushes, which he can value bet. Maybe a few things he wants to bluff. And kings, which don't really fit into either of those ranges very well anymore, because he's largely value betting with really strong hands. So I could potentially fold quite a lot of hands that he's value betting, which are worse than kings. So I think the way he should be playing that river, if the diamond comes in, is with a check with kings. Well, ace-king I think is definitely good enough to value that. Interesting that he called that in the small blind. Oh, he's bad. Okay. It's fairly easy for people who have high cards that miss this. And I do have an open and a straight draw, so I think it's a good bet. Yeah, I think he should be checking with a lot of kings just because his value range is very strong if the diamond comes in, and he doesn't have that much air to balance it with. Here I'm going to check and hope to show down, honestly, against this player. And here is a very odd spot, and I don't know what to say about it. I'm not going to try to bluff him off a chop. He doesn't seem like the guy who will fold, but I don't know if he's going to bluff me. He didn't. That's nice. If he bet, I probably would have called, honestly. Maybe it was wrong, given that he didn't even consider bluffing. So, when the diamond misses, though, he does have lots of missed flush draws in his range still. And so I think he can definitely value bet with a king, and my calling range is going to be much wider than if the diamond had come in. And yeah, all that. It was a good river for me, obviously. Was he talking about a hand before? Bet I was. Bet I was. You'll never know what I was going to say. Not much happening now. That's why Zoom Poker's better, because we would have played all of these hands in 5 seconds. I think about calling with Jack-8 offsuit against this min raise. I don't know much about this guy, except that so far he looks bad. Could also 3-bet. I'm just going to call. I'm just getting odds which are too good. And against this guy, well, against anybody, honestly, when I call on min raise in the blinds, I'm going to be donk betting quite a lot on this board. My range is just better than theirs on this board, I think. Against this guy, I'm certainly going to be donk betting and not even really thinking about balancing or anything. I just think it's good with top pair. I think a check is good on the turn for fairly obvious reasons. The only thing I get value out of is like 9x with 1 club. And I think a check again on the river. Yeah, I think a check again on the river. And maybe a check raise all in is good if he bluffs. Or bets at me. Not all in, actually, but a check raise. A big check raise is a bluff. Against a better player, I think it's really sexy. Against this guy, no. I guess he has missed stuff, so I'll call. Cool. God, I can't believe I was like thinking about folding there. I got all fascinated by the idea of check raising. Because I was thinking like 17th level about my range, and then I realized, oh, he's bluffing. I should just call. Glad I didn't screw that one up. So yeah, I guess we would have got value against that hand on the turn too. Although, if we bet the turn against that hand, I think when we check the river, he's much less likely to bluff, so we do probably make the same amount of money against that hand with the line that I took. Plus we can maybe fold against that hand on some rivers where it hits. I think I'll just check ace high on this board. It's super dry. I don't think he's folding that much, and he's one of these half-stack guys, so yeah. It's even harder to make him fold, I'm assuming. Lots of action up here on this table. This will be a fun hand to look at. Except it's probably going to be a 40 big blind stack, 3 bets, and everybody folds. Well, one person folded. The person you least expect to folded against the 3 bet, and everyone else called. So what is going on? Some dude bet and then everybody folded. That's okay. That was a real disappointment of a hand. I would... Yeah, that was like my college education, sort of. Oh god, I'm not going to try to explain that joke. It was really funny though, at my expense. I think I'm going to 3-bet ace-3 suited on the bottom left, and I'm still trying to work this one out. Problem with having queen high is we're not really betting for value against a whole lot when he calls here. We do have a gutter and an over and the nuts. Somehow. And here I think we can peel with some ace kings when he donk bets. I think it's a sensible part of a balanced range. And I think the ones that make sense to do it with are ones with backdoor flush draws or just a straight up flush draw. But if he bets again on this turn, we're just going to give it up against this player who's being very tight. And yeah, the reason to float there with ace king sometimes is largely irrelevant to the hand that I'm actually playing against this player. It's more about defending your range than it being a good play in a vacuum, and I probably just gave away $5 because the guy's not good enough for what I just did. But if I open in mid position, I guess this was, and get called out of the blinds and donked into on that board, he is going to have lots of stuff that hits that board decently well, but he's going to be missing hands like aces, kings, and queens. Is hand good enough to call with, maybe? I don't know. I didn't. This guy's stealing a lot, so 3-betting must be good. So I want to have a calling range when he donk bets, and my calling range is going to be one pair, over pair sort of hands, which aren't really going away anytime soon. And then it's going to be draws, which I don't think are strong enough to raise. And I am going to have a... I don't think I open this with a super loose guy on the button, even though he's terrible. Like, so is king 6 offsuit. I'm going to have a raising range of stronger draws, just garbage, and very strong mate hands, jacks, 10s. Mostly jacks, 10s, maybe jack 10. So I'll be raising sometimes, but I think this hand is... Okay, if I wasn't feeling like it was good enough to call with, I would put it in my raising range as a weak sort of garbage draw. But in this spot, I actually think it's good enough to call with. So I'm not going to do that. And so my calling range ends up being over pairs, weakish draws, ace highs. And he can keep barreling on the turn, and I'm not too worried about getting exploited because I have a good variety of hands there. Decent amount of the time I have a flush there on the turn. I actually did consider raising as a bluff, but he's just, I think he's too tight for it to really be good. It's always a weird spot. It's just, there's so many hands under this board that he messes with, and I can never check call. So I think it's a good spot to bet. If I knew that he was just going to check down 8 high here, checking's cool, but I just don't think he will, and if I check call, I don't think good things are happening to me. I think I'm getting value bet against, and he's betting with bluffs which are likely to keep bluffing, and I can't keep calling. So I do have a profitable line with queen 2, I think, here, which is just to bet and have him fold lots of those lowish hands. Like, he probably even folds 8s to that bet sometimes. I don't know. That might be optimistic. Yeah, and I could potentially keep on bluffing if the board came out favorably. That's probably 40 minutes, huh? 35? Alright, so I'll start winding this up. I'm going to focus mainly on hand-to-hand play in these videos, just talking about the actual hands that I'm playing, and I guess I'll talk a little bit about the stakes as I move up, because one of the features of these videos is that each one's at a higher stake. But I'm gonna leave stuff like mental game and the hardcore math and all that for pay-per-view videos, just because it takes a lot longer for me to sort of prepare thoughts to share on that stuff. I will leave you with cool application of Kahneman. I already mentioned Kahneman in an earlier video, but okay, and the anchor effect isn't even Kahneman either anyway, I don't think. But the anchor effect happens all the time in No Limit Hold'em, and people don't even really consider it, I don't think. The anchoring effect has to do with how your brain arrives at estimates, and the example that Kahneman uses in his chapter is if you ask someone if a tree is taller or shorter than 1,200 feet, say, and they say shorter because 1,200 feet is an absurdly tall tree, and then you ask how tall the tree is, what they're going to do is think, okay, well, it's shorter than 1,200. Is it shorter than 1,100? Yeah. Shorter than 1,000? Yeah. 1,000, also known in some circles as 1,000. Is it shorter than 900? Yeah, I guess. Shorter than 800? Yeah. 700? 600? Yeah. You know, they're starting to get uncertain, and they hit a point where they're basically just uncertain whether or not it is lower or higher. And their range of uncertainty for the height of the tree might be, like, they think tree might be 200, 150 to 500 feet tall. That's what they think if you just ask them how tall the tree is without first telling them, is it lower or taller than 1,200 feet. I think it's a decent spot to bet with this hand, planning to bluff later. God, I instantly hate myself for saying that, because he's not folding an ace. I was thinking I could, like, take him off jacks and queens. I'm just getting too fancy. I was just expecting that I'd hit a 10 or a 7 on the turn, I guess. That's how I always do it other times. I should have just checked this hand down, I'm pretty sure. So, when you start them at 1,200 feet, though, they're going to get to 500 feet and think, oh, I'm not sure. Is it more or less than that? I want to call so bad. Like, the amount I want to call here is a little unhealthy. Need to be good. You always need to be good less than half of the time when you're calling. That's nice. Nice thing about it. And he has queen jack, king queen, king jack. Yeah, whatever. Oh, son of a bitch. Well, that was brutal. He definitely does have the backdoor flush draws as well, and does make sense for his bet size, but, I mean, I only have to be right a little over 1 in 3 times, so I stand by my call. If I knew more about the player, it may be apparent to me that he never overbet bluffs there and always has a very strong hand when he overbets, in which case it's obviously a very easy fold, but I didn't know that about him. cannot know everything. So yeah, if you prime them with 1200 feet, they're going to estimate that it's 500 feet tall, and if you say, is it taller or shorter than 30 feet, they're going to be like, oh, that's ludicrous, it's way taller than that. But then they're going to get to 150 feet and be like, oh, maybe. And they're going to say it's maybe 150 feet tall. This is going to be their estimate. And the way people usually prime themselves in poker is they start with a standard bet size. They're like, well, it's normal to bet like 2/3 of the pot here. And then they consider other factors, and it may like push them up or down a bit. But they just generally don't get pushed up and down as far as they should because they're primed with this 2/3 pot number. And I'm just going to call with kings here. Bad player behind. And no 3-betting dynamic at all with this guy, so I don't really think I can get it in super light. I mean, kings is not super light to get it in, sorry. I don't think he'll get it in super light. Like, I don't think he gets an ace-king here. We can call one, definitely. C-betting probably everything on this board. So yeah, people start with the 2/3 pot bet amount, and then they're like, but he's a fish, I should bet more. And so they bet like 3/5 pot. They bet like 0.2 big blinds more. And they're like, oh, well, I'm not sure that I should keep adding to my bet size. This seems like enough. I might be bluffing here. I think I should probably be bluffing here with kings. And how big do I want to make it? He looks like at best he has like a weak ace. So I think I have so many jacks. And they're just always the nuts. So I want to be making big bets here as value bets, and because it lets me bluff more often. So I'm going to make a slight overbet here. And they're just like, isn't much you can call with, I don't think. He got cold called out of the blinds when we 3-bet with Jack-9 offsuit. I think is a good board for a C-bet. So whatever. I don't know about continuing. I don't know. It sucks to have Jack high because I'm not ahead of Queen Jack. I don't know. It's weird that he didn't check raise. Queen. Ugh. Probably has queens anyway. Yeah, I'm not making him fold, I don't think, here. I hope he doesn't have Queen Jack. I'll cry. Yup. He was not folding that on the river. So yeah, I just wanted to say, like, when you make a bet size, try not to start at anything. Try to start with, like, I'm playing this game poker, and we have no limit betting, and what should my bet size be? Because you're just consistently not deviating enough. Queen 10 offsuit is maybe a little loose here, but with the cutoff post, there's tons of money in the pot. That's lame. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I feel like I sort of went all out. There were lots of interesting hands where I had very middling holdings and lots of interesting decisions, so it was good. Please check out the pay-per-view stuff. The more people want to pay for it, the more videos I'll make, and the more work I'll put into them, basically. So, yeah, I'm just gonna put money that I make off it into making better videos. I think it'd be really cool to have a heart rate monitor on the screen, especially when I'm playing like 2K No Limit, because you can see how much adrenaline there is involved. in making decisions at super high stakes where I'm not like super comfortable in my element at 2K no limit just yet. I think that would be cool. That was like $80, so I think that's the first target, other than the bandwidth and stuff, obviously. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Follow me on Twitter, 931243732. Comment on my blog, what did you think? Yeah, see ya.